This book here, Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Rich Dad Poor
I'm the author of this book.
If you haven't read this book, I guarantee you that you will never become rich one day. This book is one of the best-selling books in the world. It personally changed my life, changed my way of thinking, and taught me how the rich think, how they see money, and how they deal with it. The only thing I can promise you is that if you apply what is in this book, your financial life will change forever. On this channel, we don't just give you a summary of the book, we explain it in detail. If you like the idea of the channel, subscribe. Part 1 of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by the great author Robert Kiyosaki. Grab your favorite drink and let's begin. The author Robert Kiyosaki starts with an introduction that I consider one of the best introductions I've ever read in my life. In this introduction, Robert Kiyosaki wanted to deliver a message. Wealth is a mindset, and poverty is a mindset. A person may have $10 million but still have a poor mindset and lose all their money. On the other hand, someone may have only $1,000 but a wealthy mindset and actually become rich in the future. If you think about it for a moment, this is exactly what happens in reality. Today, we see people who started from zero and became extremely wealthy, while actors and football players who were earning millions per month returned to poverty after their careers ended, and some of them even went to prison because of debt. This confirms that wealth is not about how much money you have, but about the way you think. And then Robert Kiyosaki concludes the introduction with a very interesting story that happened to him in Hawaii when he was 9 years old, in 1956, on the island of Hawaii. He says, "I went to my father while he was reading the morning newspaper, and at that time I was 9 years old. I said to him, 'Dad, teach me how to become rich.'" He says that this question caught his father's attention, and he asked me, "Why do you want to become rich?" I replied, "Because my friend, my classmate, once had his mother run over by a luxury car, and they went to their house across the street to spend the weekend holiday." My father said, "Are you sure about that?" I said, "Yes." He looked at me for a few seconds and then continued reading his newspaper. I stood there waiting for a response. After a while, he said to me, "Listen, my son, if you want to become rich, you must learn how to make money." I asked him, "Okay, so how do I get money?" The father said, "Use your mind." But the boy, Robert, at the age of 9, thought that he needed to make money. And of course, that was illegal, though the boy didn't know that. Robert Kiyosaki says, "The next day, I went to my close friend Mike and I said to him, 'Do you want to be my partner?' He asked, 'Partner in what?' I said, 'Partner in making money.' I said, 'Don't you want to be like Jimmy, who has new toys, new clothes, and a house across the street?' He said, 'Yes, of course I want to be like him.' I said, 'Then let's start learning how to make money.' And from that moment, we began to think of every possible way to make money until we came up with a brilliant idea. He says, we high-fived and said, 'All right, let's get started, my friend.' Then, after several weeks, our work involved collecting leftover toothpaste from the neighbors. Some of them would ask us, 'What are you going to do with the toothpaste?' And we would say, 'That's a secret. You'll find out later.' Once we collected enough, we opened a factory in my father's garage. My father was so amazed by what my friend Mike and I had managed to do that he even brought some of his friends over to see these 9-year-old boys in action. After we completed our first counterfeit production, my father came to us and said, "What are you boys doing? This is illegal. This is counterfeiting." Of course, at that time, we didn't know what counterfeiting was. After my father explained it to us, we felt disappointed, and all our dreams of making a fortune were shattered. He asked my father, "Do you really want to learn how to make money?" We said, "Yes, of course we do." Then he said to us, "Go to my friend Mike's father. He's smart, and he'll be wealthy in the future." Of course, this man is the one Robert Kiyosaki calls the rich dad. The next day, my friend Mike and I went to his father and said, "Please teach us how to become rich." At that time, Mike's father had a warehouse and employees in his office. He arranged an appointment for us on a Saturday. When we arrived, there was a long line waiting, and we stood there until it was our turn. Mike and I went in and he said, "Are you boys ready?" Mike's father looked at me and said, "My son told me that you want to learn how to make money." I said, "Yes." He said, "All right, but I won't teach you like your school teachers do. I won't give you lectures. Instead, I have an offer for you. You'll work for me every Saturday, and during that time, I'll teach you." I said, "All right, can I ask you a question?" He replied, no questions for now. Either you accept the offer or you reject it. If you don't learn how to make decisions quickly, you'll never learn how to make money because opportunities come and go swiftly. You wanted to learn how to make money, and here is the opportunity right in front of you. Either you accept it or you reject it. I said to him, "I accept." And my friend Mike also said, "I accept." Then Mike's father said, "All right, that's good. Now go to the lady in the store and she'll teach you everything about working here. I'll pay you 10 cents per hour and you'll work 3 hours every Saturday." And each time I earned money, I would go and buy children's books. We hadn't seen Mike's father since that day. Once my father came by and asked me, "Have you learned anything?" morning? I said, no, Dad, we've been working our weeks and haven't seen Mike's father since then. He said, he's taking advantage of you two because you're kids. Go to him and tell him either he teaches you or he gives you a raise or you won't come back. Of course, this is the father whom Robert Kiyosaki calls the poor dad. Robert says, after feeling a great sense of negativity from what my father told me, I went to Mike's father and waited my turn outside his office. But this time I waited a long time. When my turn finally came, he asked me, do you really want more money? Or will you quit? I said, crying, no, you promised to teach me, but you haven't taught me anything. He said, yes, I am teaching you. I said, how are you teaching me when you haven't even met me? He replied, I'm teaching you the way life teaches you, for life always gives lessons without speaking to you. Now I am teaching you life's lessons. If you learn them, you will be very successful in your life, and you will become rich. I replied, so far, all I've learned from you is that you're stingy and not generous with your employees. Mike's father started laughing and said, stop blaming me and try to change yourself. Learn and grow wiser. When you encounter a problem, learn how to solve it and benefit from it rather than blaming others. Don't be like everyone else who wants others to change for their sake and never tries to improve themselves. He told me something I still remember. It's better to change yourself than to try to change someone else. Even if you pay more money, it won't solve your problem. I asked him, so what's the solution? He said, the solution lies in your mind. Use your mind. What I've taught you in these 4 weeks is that a job and a salary will never make you rich. He asked me a question. How did you feel while you waited for hours outside my office? I told him it was unbearable. It was a horrible feeling. He said, what I want to teach you is that if you lose yourself in being an employee for your entire life, this is what you'll experience until you're 60, constantly chasing a job or a raise. And no matter how high the salary, it won't make you wealthy. You should be grateful that you learned this at the age of 9. This path is very painful, and this is one of the life lessons I want you to learn, Robert. He said, the rich don't work for money. Money works for them, even while they sleep. That's the first lesson I want you to learn. He asked me, what do you think? Have you learned? I said, yes, I have learned. He said, then from now on you will work every Saturday for 3 hours without pay. Do you agree? I said, yes, I agree. And I left astonished. Just a moment ago I wanted a raise, and now I was going back to work without pay. And so, dear viewer, that concludes the introduction. If you enjoyed it, please like it to continue to the second part and to learn the first lesson of the life lessons that the rich dad taught Robert Kiyosaki. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.